Good morning, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here on this beautiful Thursday morning at the Torch Center. Wanted to share a little thought on this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, we have the plagues, the last three plagues that were inflicted on the Egyptians. And a very interesting thing that we see is that in between the 9th plague and the 10th plague, you have God commanding the Jewish people, saying, I'm going to bring, at the strike of midnight, or about midnight, it actually says, Kachatzot halayla, about midnight, I'm going to kill all the firstborns. Now, this is the firstborns of every household. So even if there was a firstborn who was not, living anymore, the next oldest child was considered the firstborn, they were taken. So it means there was no house that didn't have a deceased person in it. But before the God says this is going to happen, but before this is going to happen, God says, I want all the Jewish people to take a little shepsela, take a little sheep, or lamb, right? And tie it to your bed for 4 days. And this sheep, for two reasons, that the Midrash brings, I'm sure there are many more reasons, but there are two reasons why we should have this little lamb by our bed. Number one is so that we can determine whether or not it's a kosher animal and worthy of being slaughtered. Because we're not allowed to, not that we're not allowed to, but if we were to slaughter an animal that isn't perfect in all its limbs, then you can't eat it. So, in order to determine it doesn't have any broken legs, doesn't have any imperfections, so that's why they would have it. That's number one. The second reason is because the Egyptians this would be one of their idols, one of their deities was animals, particularly sheep. We were showing no. Okay, it comes 4 days later. Everyone is commanded to slaughter this lamb. What do we do with the blood of the lamb? We put it on the doorposts, on the right, on the left, on top. God says, when I see the doorposts, then I'll know that you need to come out. Right? So basically, God needs an identifier on every door to know, oh, this is a Jewish house, this is a non-Jewish house, this is a Jewish house, this is a non-Jewish house. Like this, God would know. God doesn't know without it. So let's get into the frame of mind of a Jew who's in Egypt for 210 years. Generations of slavery. And now, God tells them, I'm taking you out. I'm taking you out. You know what's going through the mind of those Jews? They're thinking to themselves, 1 second. God is taking me out? How can God take me out? You're kidding? The Egyptians are in charge. When someone is ready to let go of what their conception of who's in charge, and give it into the hands of Hashem, not only in their mind, but in their action, that they're ready to put it on their doorpost. They're ready to say, you know what? I'm with Hashem. I'm not going to hide my Judaism. I'm not going to hide my faith. I'm not going to hide my commitment, my dedication to the Almighty. I'm ready to go and demonstrate how committed I am to the Almighty. I'm going to put the blood on my doorpost. It's not that God needs a sign. We need to be proud of our own Judaism. We are ready to break away from our habits, from our Egyptian culture. We're ready to break away from our frame of mind of being captors, being enslaved, and ready to break away from our captors. We have to be ready for it. And I think in our generation, there's no greater time, right, to be proud of our Judaism and not to back away from it. Let's not shy away from our Judaism. Now is the time where we need to say, you know what? Yes, I'm outwardly supportive of Israel. Yes, I'm outwardly supportive of the Torah. Yes, I believe in the Almighty. And I'm not shy about it. Oh, you're the synagogue type? Oh, you go to synagogue? Yes, I go to synagogue. I'm proud of my Judaism. And not to be shy. Put it on your doorpost. Feel proud. Wear it on your sleeve. Wear your Judaism with pride. The nations of the world look up to us when we're proud of our Judaism. When we try to hide and we try to assimilate, and we try to embed ourselves into the nations, they spit us out. They don't like us just as another, our job is to be an example. That's our job. They expect that from us. The Almighty expects it from us. So let's not be, trying to hide our Judaism. Let's feel that connection. Let's feel that responsibility and be proud of it. And the more we're proud of it, the more we'll take the responsibility, hopefully, to learn, to grow. Like all of you here on a Thursday morning, there are a lot of other things you could be doing. You could be watching, I don't know, what's on television now? What's is Oprah on?
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, and you could watch all the other Mishigasin on right? And instead you're here learning Torah. Right? Feel proud of it. Bring a friend next week. We have a few more chairs. Right? And we have delicious coffee and espresso, by the way. We have a new espresso machine. Right? Let's feel proud of our Judaism. Let's put it as a sign we should be distinguished from the nations. Let's not hide it. Because when we're proud of it, our children will be proud of it. Our grandchildren will be proud of it. Hashem should bless us all that we shouldn't know any suffering, and we should always feel that pride, that joy that should be with our Judaism. We should never feel ashamed. We should never feel humiliated by our own Judaism, but rather always take pride in the greatness that we have as a gift. We were chosen. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. God chose us from all the other nations. Let's not run away from it. Let's take that responsibility. Wear it with pride. Have an amazing Shabbos, everybody. And now we're going to continue with our regular programming. All of our friends online, thank you for joining us. And you're welcome to join us here at the Torch Center every Thursday morning at 9:30.